on from the Matt Morris Digital Studio here in Fresno, California. This is the Beem and Dean Show. We're up to episode 92 on this February 19th with the sports director of KSEE24 and CBS 47, Scott Bemis. I am Dean Schiro. Scotty, Olympics are coming to a close. We're getting closer here. We're taping this show as the U.S. women are playing Canada. They're getting ready to go to overtime. There are 14 seconds left, and it's 1-1.
We're getting ready. This could be an incredible moment, right? To be down 1-0 in the third period. The U.S. just scored to tie the game. I feel the patriotism running through my blood right now, Dean.
Me too. And with that being said, we're going to come in hot. All right, Scott, right back to the Olympics. I just want to get to something I love right now. We had 4 quarterfinal games in the men's yesterday. 3 of them went to overtime. I love this Olympic rule. So in the NHL, it's 5 minutes on 3-on-3 hockey. And then if you don't score, you go to a penalty shootout, three shooters each. In the Olympics, they give you 5 extra minutes with 3-on-3. So it's 10 minutes. And all 3 games yesterday were decided in overtime without having to use a shootout. I love that. I'm a huge hockey guy. Kind of bothers me when you go to those shootouts because some teams are much better than others on breakaways. Yep. My LA Kings are one of the worst teams in overtime on shootouts. They historically have been, so it's very disappointing to me. But a lot of teams are really good. So what are your thoughts on this rule?
Oh, I like what you're saying. I think this applies to soccer as well. In addition to hockey, we should be trying to avoid shootouts to decide games if we can. Maybe a last resort if you literally cannot get a winner, right, at some point. But you've heard my idea in soccer before of in the extra time of opening the field up more by starting with 10 players and every 5 minutes eliminating a player on each team. Right?
It's like one of those dance contests where you tap them on the shoulder and all of a sudden the dance floor gets a little bigger. You got a little bit more room to roll.
But so I like it. I like the open ice with 3-on-3. I would maybe suggest going 4-on-4 for the first 5 minutes. Okay. And then maybe going 3-on-3, you know, for the last 5 minutes, or whenever the first whistle happens after the 5-minute mark, for example. I think it would bring in some strategy as well. Yeah. But what you're saying is totally true, that shootouts in a way, it's whoever is better at that skill, that individual skill.
Whoever's better at that skill.
And whoever maybe has the better goaltender, right?
True.
Obviously, that's a big part of the game, but you don't want that to be the sole determining factor. And just like in soccer, right? In the World Cup, you got an incredible goalie. You're going to love your chances in a shootout. Right? So I'm with you.
Or 5 guys you really like shooting PKs, you know, or 5 really skilled players, you know.
I want to say this, though. Just having said all that.
Fair enough. The floor is yours.
Sports is still entertainment, right, Dean?
It is.
So I'm with you. And I think that, like, extra period with, 4-on-4 and then 3-on-3 would be super exciting. And you'd have so many scoring chances that I'm in for that. Yeah. I will say, when it comes down to the shootout, I don't change the channel. I will say that, right? I mean, it holds me.
Yeah. Well, like I said, that's why the only great thing about the NHL is they don't do it in the playoffs. You play, that's my favorite rule of all time. You play till it's over. I don't care if it goes
5-on-5 too.
6 overtimes. I don't care. Play it out until someone scores a goal. There is no shootout and all that when you get to the playoffs. But I really like this NHL rule. So let's go back to Olympics really quick, because you've got, I'm just going to call this a overall judging mess at the Olympics, and I will give the floor to you and let you explain.
Breaking news, Dean. Judging controversy at the Olympics. I mean, we've never heard this before, right?
We've never heard this before.
But here's the thing. Usually it's because we're screaming and yelling about something going on in figure skating. And let's be honest, there was something like that with the ice dancing competition,
Absolutely. Right? It prevented the Americans from getting a gold medal, but I digress.
But I'm not focusing on that. No, Dean. I am a closet kind of extreme sports fan, and I love watching the the slopestyle and the big air in the Olympics, and so I've been spending some late nights watching USA Network at 2 a.m., 3 a.m.
Same.
And getting all heated up inside at the stinking judging in these things. All right, it's kind of obscure, I know, but there were 2 examples of judging just absolutely picking the wrong person to be the gold medal winner, first in skiing big air.
Yes.
And then in snowboard women's slopestyle last night.
Okay, go for it.
I don't know what else to say other than big air, right? Skiing big air. It's called big air. So to me, you should be rewarding the most awesome trick that gets the biggest air. You know, the Norwegian skier who won did an incredibly difficult thing. Like, it was a technical takeoff into the jump where basically he slid. Like,
wasn't he backwards?
He slid 180 on the takeoff, which is unbelievably difficult to do. I'm not trying to discount that in any way.
Sure.
But because he does that, he kind of scrubs off some of his speed as he gets into the air. And his air was nowhere near as cool as the American, who apparently, they both did groundbreaking tricks that had never been done before. And they ended up rewarding the Norwegian with the gold medal because I think this takeoff into the jump had never been seen before. But here's the problem, Dean. Again, it's called big air. And so it's a super technical thing, and I'm sure it's incredibly difficult to do. And he should score high. But the U.S. guy did something that had never been done before, and he had way more amplitude, than the Norwegian did. But he ended up winning silver, and I had a big problem with that.
I saw that as well, Scotty. And the guy did something, like you said, that's never been done. I mean, the point should have been outrageous on that thing. It should have been. He got completely underscored on that. So
here's the
other one. Go for it.
Last night, this was hilarious. I was watching it. Snowboard slope style on the women's side. Okay, so they go down. They got the rails at the top, and then you do like 3 jumps at the bottom. It's an overall score for the entire run. So here's what happened, and this is why it cracked me up, is because the announcer, for who's doing this, and he's in the X Games. I don't know his name offhand, but he's really good at what he does, the analyst. And he's watching this thing, and he's in disbelief at this. It's not even American. It's not like I'm being American-centric here. It was, I think, a rider from New Zealand who was the defending gold medalist.
Okay.
And she was getting way more air. She was doing 1080s off the jumps, whereas this Japanese rider who was in the lead had only done 720s. Now, there were a couple little bobbles here and there, but she didn't put her hand down, she didn't crash at any point, and she was going way more difficult. And the announcer actually put it side by side, how the judges had scored it based on the different components involved in slopestyle. And I'm getting kind of, in the weeds here with it,
but good.
Basically it's like rails and it's jumps, right? And so he looked at it, and it was like the jumps where the New Zealand rider, I believe, or Australian, it was either New Zealand or Australian, had done 1080s. That's one more complete spin, one more complete flip basically in the air, and she was way higher. Right. Had been scored lower somehow than the Japanese rider who had done 720s. And so the whole point, the announcer was in disbelief. He goes, look, I don't want to take anything away from the Japanese rider. She did everything well and probably deserved to maybe be on the medal stand either as the silver position or the bronze position. But there's no way that she should have scored higher. And there were 2 runs where he thought that, and it's like, how does this happen, Dean? How is it that a guy who's an expert, who's been judging slopestyle, for 20 years, is the voice of the sport, he's in disbelief about the way the judging's happening?
Yeah.
And I don't get it. There needs to be more transparency. There needs to be some way, immediately, that we can see who judged what and what they're basing it on. And I don't know. It's just the Olympics can't get out of its own way with this kind of stuff, right? Yeah.
Well, like I said, we had the controversy in ice dancing where the French judge penalized the American team who won, who finished in silver. The gold medal team from France scored somehow on her card 5 points higher on their scores compared to all the other judges, where they were only a point higher or lower on the other judges.
Yeah, where's that outlier?
What's going on with the nationalities? I feel like there should be something where you shouldn't be able to judge your nationality. So if you're the American judge, then you should not judge the American pair. Your score should go void there, and then everyone else is judged. I
also think,
and vice versa,
that I get it. It's a television show as well, so you want immediate scoring. I think there should be some kind of process, especially with figure skating, where there can be a longer review in place about these things, right?
They have gotten better. I don't know if you've seen on the top box.
It's got a ton better than it used to be.
It's gotten better, because at least now they'll judge you per jump. I don't know if you're watching now, but they'll score you per jump, and then they'll put review on there, if there's a bobble or if did your hand hit the ice or whatever. So it's getting better, but we're still not there, Scotty. I completely agree. Let's talk about a couple other things Olympics-wise before we get into basketball. Michaela Schifrin.
That was cool.
The downhill, the slalom, she beat everybody by over a second. Phenomenal, right? After all her trials and tribulations.
Yeah, here's the crazy thing about it is that I'm so happy that this happened for Michaela Schifrin because it really cements her spot.
Right.
And because people don't realize it, most common sports fans don't follow downhill skiing or slalom skiing that closely,
Right.
except when it comes to the Olympics. So all they know about Michaela Schifrin is her skiing out of the course.
Right.
Right, in the last couple Olympics.
Right.
And just having such a difficult time in 2022.
Injuries and
all
stuff
that
too, hurting herself.
Exactly. But people don't know that she is, the GOAT. She's the Tiger Woods of skiing,
Right.
basically. I mean, the accomplishments that she's had are unbelievable. She's the Michael Jordan of her sport, and she deserves this moment. She deserves to have Olympic gold in her marquee event, the one that she has just absolutely dominated over the years, Dean. But is there any more nervous feeling? Because you and I are one of the few that are watching it live at 4 a.m., right?
Yeah, we got to mention Lena Durr real quick. So
yeah, we'll get
Poor Scotty had a tough handicap on Lena Durr, but we'll get there when we get to bets. Go ahead.
And that'll teach me to throw some slalom bets into money plays. But you know what I'm saying, Dean?
I do.
And give credit to Michaela. She's always handled herself so well, with regards to the disappointments. And she really comes across as just a down-to-earth person who it would be a pleasure to know.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw last night before you went on because you were probably getting your sportscast ready, but she was being interviewed by Mike Tirico right before the 11 o'clock hour. She had a couple of cappuccino martinis or whatever, and she was a little tipsy. She's like, I hope you don't mind. I'm partying with my friends here. I'm tipsy and having a great time. It was wonderful. It was just
she deserves that.
Great to see her smile and have a good time. And then the other thing I want to kind of mention too was basically we were talking a little bit about domination in a sport. The Nordic, obviously Norway has dominated the Nordic events.
So
now the IOC is talking about possibly eliminating that sport due to lack of competition. That part.
Don't do that.
I'm just letting you know.
Yeah.
I read something this morning that they're considering it for future Winter Games. What's your thoughts on that?
That's ridiculous. Cross country skiing. It's a Winter Olympic sport. It's one of the ones we like to watch. I mean,
it's one of the originals, by the way, Scott, from 1924. Yep.
Yeah, I think that would be a huge mistake. I mean, just because somebody's dominating it doesn't mean that somebody else can't jump up. Look at what the Americans have done in this Olympics. I mean, for the longest time, the Americans were way off the medal stand when it came to cross country skiing.
Right.
They really didn't even have a chance of medaling in this Olympics. I think they've had 3 medals so far in this Olympics, and so things can change. Hey, so what? Give it up to Norway. And to be honest with you, Dean, isn't that a storyline that we like to watch? It's like, oh my gosh, look at this guy, Klabo. He's got the greatest name ever.
10 golds or something like that.
Yeah,
10?
5 in this Olympics. I think he's going for a 6th over the weekend as well. And I don't know. Sometimes domination is okay as a storyline. Like Michaela Schifrin in the World Cup. She's always dominated, but you still don't know. Is this the one time where she's not going to win it? In the cross-country skiing. That American was pushing Klabo for a minute there in that race yesterday. And so that would be a huge mistake.
Yeah, so that's what's kind of going on. Shout out to both Norway and Italy, though, for leading the medal count as of this moment. So, all right, well, let's get to some college basketball here really quick. So, we got a big game this weekend. It's going to be in Ann Arbor, Michigan. We got Duke traveling up to Michigan.
Yeah.
I know you got a couple plays on this game we'll show shortly. But we're 3 weeks away, Scotty, from the tournament. Basically, we're 3 weeks away from conference tournaments, and I think roughly a month away from the big tournament. We were going to kind of just mention 2 teams we both like, and maybe a dark horse team. So I'll let you start it out. Give me 2 teams you really like that you would put money on as of today, and maybe a dark horse team that you're thinking about.
Well, I'll tell you this: 2 weeks ago, I would have loved to have gotten down on this team. I didn't have a place to do it. I wasn't in Vegas or anything else. But Florida is a team that I would have loved to have gotten down on 3 weeks ago. Now, you can still get them. I just looked at DraftKings at 13-1. They were probably at 20-25-1, as of 2 or 3 weeks ago.
So you're getting the defending champs for 13-1.
Well, and if you haven't been paying attention, Florida has just been dominating. And their record's a little deceiving because early in the season, they played maybe the most difficult non-conference schedule in the country. They lost by a basket at Duke. I think they played UConn as well, lost a tight one. So they've played some heavyweights, and they were in every one of those games. Just lost a couple, in the final minute or so, and they've been rolling in the SEC, and that's not an easy SEC to roll through. I mean, they put the hammer down on Tennessee, about a month ago at home, kind of took Alabama to the woodshed. They've been winning games by 15, 20 points, in the SEC.
Right.
So you get them at double digits. That's one team I like. I still like Duke I have a 10-1 ticket on Duke from the.
That's one of my two, by the way.
Traveling through Nevada, before New Year's.
Yeah.
So I like that Duke ticket that I have there at 7-1. It's getting a little low at 7-1, but I still like Duke.
Is that what you got him at, 7-1?
No, I got him at 10-1.
Ooh.
So yeah, that's
early bird.
Look, I've got some tickets that are in play. I don't have Florida, but I've got some tickets. I think I've got a Duke ticket. I've got a Houston ticket. I think they're at like 20-1 or something like that to win it, from around New Year's when I made these bets.
Did you do any other conference stuff that's still alive? Why don't you tell everyone really quick?
That gets me to my dark horse pick, right? To win it all right now, looking at the numbers.
Yep.
If I had to make one dark horse, and I'm thinking somebody maybe 40 or 1 or higher, this one's up there. St. John's at 70-1.
Wow, the Fighting Patinos.
Yeah, St. John's is a gritty New York team. They fit the mold of New York basketball, and you've got a legend at head coach there. They beat UConn, a week or two ago. They're leading the Big East right now.
Right.
And 70-1, I think would be my dark horse. And I've got a ticket on St. John's to win the Big East. If they beat UConn in that second game, or even if UConn takes another loss, I'm looking at cashing about a 3.5-1 ticket on St. John's. Also got Houston to win the Big 12.
Oh, that's
which
nice.
is still very live.
Yeah.
It's going to come down to a game against Arizona probably on Saturday.
Yeah, that one took a little hit over the week when they lost at Iowa State, right?
It did, but it's still, I think, going to come down to that Arizona game this weekend unless Houston, suffers another loss somewhere else that is a little bit surprising. And then the other one that's kind of in play still, I've got Illinois to win the Big Ten. I'm going to need another loss from Michigan at some point. But that Illinois thing is like 22 or 25-1 to win the Big Ten.
That's awesome.
And so they host Michigan in the final week or two of the regular season. If Michigan can suffer another loss and Illinois can win out, that one would be live too.
Well, you just named my dark horse. Illinois is my dark horse.
I
obviously.
like Illinois as a dark horse too.
13-1 currently to win it all.
That's your dark horse at 13-1?
Yeah, I don't go super deep. They're still out. They're outside the top 10 in the rankings. They're roughly around 11.
All right, Florida's my dark horse then at 13-1.
Fair enough. Okay, my two favorites obviously are playing this weekend. They'll be playing in Ann Arbor. I like Duke and Michigan. Michigan's only lost one game this year. Duke's only lost 2. Michigan's been pretty dominant this year. If I had to pick one other team that I still just have my eyes on, even though they lost last night, the BYU Cougars. They need to get Richie, what's his face, back. He got hurt against Colorado last week. Saunders.
Isn't he out for the year, I think?
Did he? Is he out for the year?
I don't know that for sure. I think he tore his ACL or something.
Okay, he hurt his knee. I don't know if that's official, so I might scratch that one. Arizona always scares me. I always like Arizona's team, but it just seems like when they get to the tournament, they kind of get in that nervous Nelly mode.
I never know what to do with them.
Yeah, I don't know either. So, but Illinois, honestly, they got Page's kid, the Stojakovic, Andre.
Size too. They got some size.
Keaton Wagler, he went off last night against SC. They beat SC last night in LA by what, 30? Scotty? 36. You and I were texting about that.
It's tough to go into the Galen Center, Dean.
Yeah.
That environment there.
Yeah.
I'm being sarcastic as a Trojan, of course. But
no, but still, it's a tough thing. Anytime you have to travel cross country.
No, I'm not discounting that win at all by Illinois.
Right.
To me, that shows the strength of Illinois.
Right.
They come out and they just put the hammer down on an SC team that's a bubble team.
Right. One more thing really quick before we get to money plays. We're going to give a little extra time tonight. But UCLA lost 2 games on the road this week. Mick Cronin's he's never short for words. He's very outspoken. He actually benched his own player, ejected his own player after a foul. I respect some of the stuff he does, but is he taking it too far at this point? He's complaining about the travel. He's complaining about this. He's complaining about the schedule and the adverse road conditions and the plane flights. It's like, you knew what you were signing up for when you went to UCLA. Like, you're going to travel cross country regardless, whether you're in the Pac-12 or you're in the Big Ten now. They were going cross country anyway. Maybe they're going a little bit more frequently now, but it just seems like he's just a little outspoken to me. It's just I think he's rubbing people the wrong way. Your thoughts?
It wasn't a great week for Mick Cronin. and I'm a fan of Mick Cronin. When he was hired by UCLA, I thought that was a really good hire.
Agreed.
He's always his teams play with a level of toughness that I like. You hear me talk about it a lot with college basketball. Toughness and grit. And when coaches can get their 5-star guys and 4-star guys to play with that toughness and grit, that's when great things happen. That's what's happened with Florida. That's what's happened with Michigan. That's what John Schiro is doing at Duke. In my opinion, Duke probably should have won it all last year, and it wasn't because of their offense. That spoke for itself with Cooper Flagg, Con Knippel, all those guys. It was their defense, and they were playing well enough to win. They had a bad minute basically against Houston, right, in the NCAA tournament that ended up costing them, in my opinion, a national championship. But Mick Cronin, when that was hired as a USC guy, I was like, that's a good hire.
It is a good hire.
UCLA. Having said that, this week, not a good week.
Yeah.
And first off, I watched that play. You know, I'm sure you've seen it,
I
right?
saw it.
I don't have a huge problem with the kid going up. He's trying to block the shot. It wasn't like a crazy dirty play or anything. Sure, he was trailing the play, right? Which is always a little bit of a dangerous situation. He didn't get up and get in the guy's face or anything, right? He went over to the bench.
Right.
There was no reason for Mick to show up his player like that, right? And so I don't know what message Mick was trying to get across. And then in the post game, unfortunately, you know, he came across just horribly in his interaction with the reporter, right?
Yeah.
You know, and it's sometimes I think. Hopefully he can learn from this. That's what I hope, is that somebody can kind of get in his ear and say, hey, Mick, you know, like you're not coming across great.
Yeah, it's a bad look.
It's a bad look. And hopefully, you know, like it doesn't have to go public with it, but hopefully maybe he reaches out to that reporter, you know, in Michigan and says, hey, man, you know, like, look, I apologize for like kind of talking down to you like you're a third grader, right?
Exactly,
you know?
exactly. All right, let's get into our money plays. All right, Scotty, we're going to do a little extended money plays today. We came up a little short last week, so I just want to make sure we show everybody really quick. So, Scott, we have a new leader in the clubhouse. My man, Scotty, he took a little bit of hit. We talked a little about Lena Dore not getting out of the starting gate there. I never even saw Sarah Hector. What happened to her? I missed her.
Well, Sarah Hector had a shot. She was in 11th, headed to the second run, and but she wasn't that far back of second, you know, because there was a big gap between first and second, and then everybody from like second to 12th was kind of bunched up.
Right.
And Sarah Hector, she was a little bit more of a long shot because she's not necessarily a slalom specialist like Durr is. She went out on like gate number 14. She was charging. She knew she needed like an incredible run to get back in it. They talk all the time, right? I don't think there's World Cup points up for grabs here. So if you can't finish in the top 3 in the Olympics, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
And so they just charge if they're out of that position. Okay. Lena Dore. Dean, both of you and I saw this.
We were both watching live. I woke up. I couldn't sleep. I flipped it on. You were obviously with a play on. I should have known you were watching, but go ahead.
I have to say this. I didn't watch live. I fell asleep after the first run at about 2 a.m. And I know Lena was in second place after the first run, so that to medal was looking great. And she's a slalom specialist.
This was about 4:30 a.m. yesterday Pacific time.
So then I woke up on the couch. It was probably about 5:30, and I was, you know, kind of rattled out of sleep. And I'm like, oh, they're celebrating Michaela Schifrin. That's cool.
How did Lena do?
And I don't see her in the top 3. So I zoom back on my recording to see what happened. She was the second to last to go because they go in reverse order.
Yeah.
Lena Dore, one of the better slalom skiers in the world.
One of the best in the world.
Did not get around the first gate.
Yeah, that was tough. She actually got stuck in it.
In the second run.
Yeah, she got stuck in it and stopped her skis.
Another example of Olympic pressure. So, again, I always say this. I don't mind the handicap on my part because I thought there's a possibility that, you know, that could happen to Michaela Schifrin, that Olympic pressure could overcome her. Thankfully, you know, as an American, I was rooting on Michaela.
Yeah.
She got it done.
She did.
Lena was in great position to medal. Doesn't even get around the first gate.
Oh, well. All right. So, and then Scott gave out a Twitter play last night. Unfortunately, half of it hit easily and half of it didn't. So go ahead, Scotty.
Yeah. Seattle was right there. Almost won the game outright against St. Mary's. Clemson, I thought they'd bounce back, Dean. They had lost a couple in a row, going to a Wake Forest team that's just been kind of, you know, middle of the ACC this year. I guess I should have been a little bit more aware of the fact that Wake was kind of coming in on a 2 or 3 game winning streak and was feeling a little better about themselves. But it's hard to cover against a team when they come out and shoot like 80% in the first half like Wake did.
Guys, you got to understand what it's like to be on the opposite side of a Scott Bemis bet. I'm at Lemoore High School yesterday, and I get a text on my phone, and it says, Wake Forest shooting 82% in the first 10 minutes, not looking good. So I send Scott one back, still early. Stay patient, but unfortunately,
Clemson got back
they didn't get it done.
Clemson got back within 3.
Yeah.
You know, in the second half, just didn't have enough offense to get them over the hump.
Right.
You know, the crazy thing about that, Dean, is that Clemson's a team who's kind of known for their defense.
Yeah, but
and Wake comes out and just Wake is a good offensive team, and I mean, there was one guy in the second half, Dean. You know, he was 0-19 in ACC play from 3.
Yeah.
Of course.
He went off.
Doesn't touch rim on the 1-3 he takes. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, Scott, I got to tell you, I've had the worst luck picking Clemson this year for basketball. I don't know why. So, anyway.
You should share this news with me next time.
Yeah, next time. Yeah, well, I didn't know you were giving out as a Twitter play until the last minute. All right, so Scott's at 740. I'm at 795. I'm not much ahead. I only had a couple wins. Switzerland getting 4.5 against Canada. Canada winning that game 4-0. U.S. and Canada, by the way, still playing there in overtime. And then I got lucky on the Iowa State one. You and I both know I did. They were losing by as many, I think, as 6 late. Free throws helped them at the end get a 3-point win, so I barely survived that one. And then Germany ended up beating France 5-1. So that's the only reason I'm still ahead. But Scotty, let's give your plays out. Here we go. We've got 5 of them. Go.
What's it called? Big Ten Saturday night? It's Big West Thursday night.
Big West Thursday. Let's do it.
It's another Big West Thursday.
That's one thing you always get on the Beem and Dean Show.
Party. Yep. Scott Bemis is invited here.
Let's do it.
UCI, 2-team teaser here, 5-point teaser. You know I love them, although they haven't been hitting nearly as well as they did at the beginning. He's still the teaser king of Fresno, guys. All right. Okay, I appreciate that.
Yep.
The UCs are going to be parlayed together there. UC Irvine and UC Riverside.
I got breaking news really quick. The United States just beat Canada 2-1.
Congratulations.
All right, we'll just break that in really quick. Go for it. All right, go ahead.
So anyways, quick breakdown on this. UCI, consistent. One of the better teams in the Big West, always well coached. Long Beach State coming in on like a 5 or 6 game losing streak. I need UCI to win the game. I'd be surprised if the Beach can find a way to win that. UC Riverside, they're near the bottom of the Big West, but
who's worse? Bakersfield.
Bakersfield's worse, and I saw UC Riverside against UCSB because I had to play on that last time out, and UC Riverside was fighting, and they were battling, and they've been okay at home this year.
Okay.
Again, if they win the game, I probably win that bet there, so I'm going to put those two together. Cal Poly has been playing great basketball in the Big West. Now, Tough challenge.
Now they got to go to the islands.
Got to go, to the islands here tonight against Hawaii, a team who arguably is, in the conversation as the best team in the conference. And so, but I'm getting double digits there with Cal Poly, a team that can score the basketball.
Absolutely.
I'm going to
jump in. Coming off 2 big home wins over last week. Yep.
And then I'm going to do a Dean special here.
Yes, here it is.
I decided to give some candy to the listeners out there tonight. UC Santa Barbara, UCI, UC Riverside, Cal Poly with the points. We're going to parlay all those together.
Okay.
It adds up to plus 408. That's getting a little over 4-1 on your money.
Yep.
20 to win 81 there.
Like it. And then we got a couple weekend plays real quick.
A couple weekend plays here. Props to DraftKings for having some of these up.
Sure.
Arizona. We've talked about them before. They are a super talented team. They're going to Houston. I expect this game to come down to the wire, Dean. And so getting 8.5, I'm going to tease it up to 8.5. Nice. I like my chances getting 8.5 with Arizona there. And then Duke, same rationale here. Duke, Michigan. Big Ten team against ACC.
Yep.
Michigan's been great, but I think Duke, has some of the best talent in the country as well. I think they can match up with the Wolverines there. Okay. That's I think a neutral floor game, right? Like in D.C., I believe it is.
I believe it's in Ann Arbor. Isn't that game in Ann Arbor?
I think it's in D.C.
Is it? Okay.
I think. I'd have to double check.
I'm not 100% sure.
I don't think it's in Ann Arbor.
We'll have to ask Alex Macias, our guy.
Yeah, I put at Michigan. My bad there, but I think it's on a neutral side.
No, I think I put at Michigan. Oh, okay. Sorry, that's my fault if it's not correct.
So I like it with 2 really good teams there, bumping it up to 8.5.
All right.
Going to go a bigger play there. Okay. And then I think Duke on the money line at a plus price there is worth a shot.
All right, I got a bunch. Too much to cover here, but I'll do the Big West stuff since this is Big West. I got a $20. Give me Santa Barbara minus 5.5 against CSUN tonight at home. Irvine minus 5.5 against the Beach. And then UC Irvine minus 6.5 against Bakersfield. We kind of talked about that one. And then I've got another play really quick I want to show. I got Cal Baptist, Utah Valley over 142. Eastern Washington, Sac State under 161. UC Davis and Fullerton under 156. And then that Cal Poly Hawaii game, I just kind of went under 161 on that one. I got a couple NBA plays. I got a women's curling play, a future. Give me the United States women to win gold. They're the 4th seeded team out of 4. So they get the best odds. It's plus 650 there. So 10 to win 65. And I have my futures bet still on the U.S. men, hopefully to help repeat what the women just did, win gold in the Olympics. So Scotty, any last thoughts before we got to go? We're going to have a special Olympics show that's going to be shown on Sunday.
The only thing better than Big West Thursday night is Big Sky totals over under Thursday night.
Hey, listen, we got to add a little flavor, right? So anyway, thank you guys all so much for watching. Again, we're going to have a special Olympics show on Sunday. This has been the Beem and Dean Show.